brand new episode of Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is my co-host, Armando.
Hi guys, I'm Armando, and welcome to Wrestling with Siblings.
Alright, let's get started with Raw in Louisiana. Worst crowd ever. But let's get into the show. Triple H starts off the show, and he pretty much starts saying that if Becky Lynch attacks Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey one more time, she is going to be getting arrested. He personally thought it was cool from his perspective, but from a business perspective, he does see it as in if she gets attacked one more time, she will definitely be getting arrested.
Yeah, and keep in mind, if I were Triple H, I would have done this since the very beginning. Press charges and really make a statement so that way Becky doesn't keep coming out. But other than that, like you said, it is pretty cool what they're doing with Becky Lynch.
Yeah, so I do see both sides, you know, the business side and like the storyline crowd type of thing. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Becky Lynch and where she goes from here. Alright, then he goes on to talk about the Generation X getting inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. That, yes, that includes China. And he pretty much says that they're on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting DX to get inducted yet. But hey, excited to see them at the Hall of Fame.
I am definitely excited to see them at the Hall of Fame. It's going to be interesting to see if they're the headliners or not, because usually the headliners don't get announced until later on. They're usually the last announcement that's made. This time I could potentially see them being the headliners.
Whether or not they're headlining, it's going to be a great Hall of Fame just because DX is going to be there. You know, when DX is around, a lot of stuff happens.
Oh, yeah.
Or hell breaks loose.
Definitely. Alright, then he goes on to say that his only responsibility is not just only Raw and Smackdown, but he also oversees WWE's third brand, which is NXT, and they did promise us new faces, new storylines at the beginning of the year, and I really feel like this is where it really starts. We got to see the future in Raw, and he introduces Ricochet, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa that will now be making their debut on the main roster.
Yeah, surprisingly, I didn't expect them to be called up or show up on Raw. And they really, really impressed me, and they got a lot of show.
The timing is kind of a little bit off simply because we're not used to somebody being called up, this close to WrestleMania. It's usually right after when they get called up, and in this occasion, he called them up a few weeks, which is really, really weird, but it's going to be interesting to see how this leads into TakeOver and how this leads into WrestleMania itself.
These new additions to the main roster are going to make WrestleMania more exciting and more must-see, so you can't miss WrestleMania at all with these new additions.
100% agree with you on that one. Alright, let's move on to the very first match of the night, which was a tables match, and it was going to be Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman. Pretty much Corbin dominating the match. You really gotta give it to him because every single match he has against Braun Strowman, he dominates. And I feel like he's really gotten inside Braun's head. And I feel like that's something nobody has been able to do.
Yeah, and he's been able to, like you said, he's been able to figure out Braun Strowman that he knows he has the advantage if he doesn't let Braun Strowman use his power, and he's gonna attack his brain pretty much, go through him, and
he figured him out, and that is something we haven't seen from anybody that has been able to do. And also keep in mind, he has help. He has Drew McIntyre, and he has Bobby Lashley in his corner. Who does Braun Strowman have? Like I said it at the previous podcast, Braun Strowman has no friends. It just goes to show he has no friends.
Yeah, he does it because nobody comes out and helps him out whenever he's in trouble.
Exactly.
And I feel that the part of it is because he's a monster among men, that they think he can handle it by himself. But it's proven already that he can't handle McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley together.
Yeah, he can't. And I feel like they're at fault for that because they've made him seem like this big, larger-than-life monster. And now when it really comes to these three guys, the numbers game really makes a difference in this match and in all the other matches that he's had. That being said, Baron Corbin has a brutal attack on Braun Strowman. And it's hard to see Braun in those situations because, like I said, they make him seem like a larger-than-life character. They make him seem like he's this big, badass monster But at the end of the day, somebody like Baron Corbin, who was just pretty much the Raw general manager, is completely dominating him.
Yeah, and like you said, those head games that he's playing with Braun Strowman are completely destroying Braun Strowman. He's not able to capitalize on that, and it's affecting him.
And we also got to see Baron Corbin be extremely smart, because what did he do? He focused on the ribs of Braun Strowman, and he knew, okay, if I focus on his ribs, that's it. It's going to be over for him. That gives me an advantage. Why? He can't pick me up to put me through a table. And I feel like that was a strategy that Baron Corbin was trying to do against Braun.
And I feel that this Baron Corbin, he's more smarter and he's a lot better than when he first moved over to Raw. It's just improvement overall has been amazing, and he's proven it in this match.
For the shakeup, do you want him to stay on Raw, or would you like to see him shift back over to SmackDown?
I think he should stay on Raw. I think Raw has really benefited him, and he has really found a spot there. I don't think the change is going to help him, so he should just stay in Raw.
I definitely agree with you on that one. And Braun Strowman, where do you see him going from here? I mean, we've seen him countless of times challenge Baron. We've seen him challenge for the Universal Championship, and quite frankly, he's always come out short. I don't know what's next for him. Like, I don't see him staying on Raw. I could potentially see him moving over to SmackDown and possibly getting bigger and better opportunities over there.
Yeah, I do see him over in SmackDown. Like you said, he's probably going to get better opportunities over there, and maybe even possibly even winning the WWE Championship over there.
Yeah, I feel like SmackDown is really going to benefit Strowman. And also, he was finally able to capitalize, and he was able to finally beat Baron Corbin. What a surprise. He hasn't been able to beat him in a while. I think since TLC. Yeah.
Yeah, but keep in mind in TLC he was hurt. And
he was hurt.
Everybody that Baron Corbin was pretty much being mean to throughout when he was manager came back and helped out Braun Strowman during his injury.
Yes, that is correct. But you gotta give it to Braun. He came through at the end of the night, and he saw. This is the funny part. He saw Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman comes out, and then he pretty much grabs him by the neck, and he pretty much choked out Paul Heyman.
Yeah, pretty much trying to get the Beast to where, like, hey, I'm here, and he knows that by getting to Paul Heyman, he's gonna get to Brock Lesnar.
Yes, but Brock Lesnar has his eyes set on Seth Rollins. Obviously, that's that's the person he's going to be challenging at WrestleMania. And Balor, the new Intercontinental Champion, had enough of Paul Heyman. He comes out, he interrupts him, and he pretty much says that it's been a very long time since he's been champion, and that he is going to defend the Intercontinental Championship as much as he can. And I'm very happy, because he's going to be a defending champion, and he deserves this opportunity.
Yeah, and then since Finn interrupted Paul Heyman, who decides to interrupt Finn Balor? Lio Rush.
Yes. Now, also keep in mind, Lio Rush is upset, as well as Bobby Lashley, because obviously Lio took the pinfall at the Elimination Chamber, and that's pretty much how Bobby Lashley lost the Intercontinental Championship. But it was all a strategic plan from Lio Rush, because then Bobby Lashley attacks him from behind.
Yeah, which that leads to Ricochet coming out and helping out Finn Balor, which that makes Finn Balor and Ricochet versus Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley.
Now, keep in mind, this is Ricochet's debut on the Raw brand, because so far we don't know which brands they're going to be going to, and I don't think we're going to find out till after WrestleMania at the Superstar Shakeup is when we'll officially find out. But I was very impressed. This brings something new to the table, because now you have the future taking over the two brands, which are pretty much Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on the main roster and be like, hey, look, we're here, and we're here to take things seriously and take your guys' spot if you guys don't step up.
And you saw it in this match. Yes, he was teaming with Finn Balor, but if you really notice, they showcased Ricochet a lot, because you got to see him stand out as opposed to everybody else in this match.
And one thing that I liked is I really liked Ricochet and Finn Balor put together. I think they will work fantastic together, just because they have the same style of wrestling, and it seems like they're getting along since the beginning.
I definitely agree with you on that one, but now imagine it the opposite. Imagine Ricochet versus Finn Balor. how amazing of a match that would be. So this, you can put Ricochet against anybody, and he's going to have a fantastic match. We've seen that in NXT, and I'm very excited to see that on the main roster. The thing is, who's going to be his first feud? Because as of right now, yes, he came out to help out Finn Balor, and yes, they teamed together, but that's technically not a feud if you really think about it. Who do you see him feuding with?
Right now, I don't see him feuding with anybody, but like you said, I would like to see him feud with Finn Balor. I think they would have some of the best matches we would probably see, just because of how skilled they are in the ring.
I would call it kind of a Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins type of match.
Yeah.
That's what I see it being in the near future.
Or like the Mysterio Andrade matches.
Yes, something along those lines. And then Finn Balor, I'm glad he's finally getting the push and the opportunity he deserves. And hopefully this leads into a potential title shot, big title shot opportunity, whether it's for the Universal Championship or the WWE Championship.
One thing that I did want to say was when I saw Finn Balor come out, I was like, please, hopefully he doesn't injure himself again, because you know what happened last time?
Yeah.
When he won the Universal Championship, he got injured the next night, and it was just like, okay, he lost. So I was hoping for that not to happen. So far, he's lasted the week. We'll see what happens, but happy for Finn Balor because now he's finally getting that opportunity he's been working for a very, very long time.
And I really feel like the Intercontinental Championship is going to help Finn Balor a lot. Not so much Finn helping the Intercontinental Championship, it's going to be the other way around. And he is going to defend it against anyone and everything. We've already seen him. He can have fantastic matches against whoever you put him up against. So it's going to be great to see who his first feud other than Leo and Bobby Lashley is going to be.
Yeah, super excited for that. And I see him as Intercontinental Champion for quite some time. It's going to be very tough to knock Finn Balor out.
Yeah, because of the type of wrestling style that he has, you know, his athleticism, his stamina, everything about him is going to make him a hard competitor. Now, you can't underestimate Finn Balor. He's proven every single person wrong.
And now let's get a little bit into Bobby Lashley. I know we've been getting into Finn Balor a lot. But as Bobby Lashley, he seems to be more aggressive and more mad at taking out his anger on everything that crosses his way. I don't blame him because I would feel the same way if I were to lose that way, not getting pinned.
Yeah, and you know, all this frustration is gonna lead to better matches, and we've already seen that. You know, he's going up against anybody. Put him up against anybody you want, he is gonna give you a brutal match. Especially now, he is mad because of the way he lost the championship. And it wasn't even his fault. He didn't even take the pin. But I feel like if there's anybody he should potentially be mad at, it's going to be Lio Rush. Because at the end of the day, Lio Rush is what cost him the IC title.
I have to agree with you on that one. But like I said before, Lio Rush has taken him to the top. He could do it again. And
you can't underestimate Lio Rush. Yes, he's tiny, but he is incredibly talented. As the only times that I've seen him, I have been extremely impressed with him because I didn't expect him to be that type of wrestler, and he is. And he is definitely at a great level because he can hang with all the top guys.
And I also see Lio Rush kind of try to take a little bit of Bobby Lashley's spotlight, kind of ride his coattails a little bit. And I feel that that's maybe the problem, and that might end up costing him a lot more.
I'm surprised they are still together because we did see Bobby Lashley attack Lio Rush right after the Elimination Chamber match where he lost. But I am also not surprised that they are still together because Bobby Lashley, I feel like he knows that he needs Lio Rush to maintain his spot on the roster and to continue to be as dominant as he is.
That's pretty much what I was going to say, that they both need each other and they both know it, so that's why they're still sticking together.
And they're both, as long as they both benefit from each other, it's going to keep going. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually turns on who. Alright, moving on to the very next match of the night, which was the Lucha House Party versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Man, I thought Kurt Hawkins was going to get the win in this match.
He actually did pretty good in this match, and like you said, he had a lot of near pinfalls.
He definitely did.
But I think Kurt Hawkins is going to win the Battle Royal
at
WrestleMania. Because if he's going to win something, he has to do it in a big stage. Kind of like what Zack Ryder did
a few
years back, where he won the Intercontinental Championship, even though he lost it the following night on Raw. But I mean, no one's going to take that moment away from him.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you on that one, and I could see him winning at WrestleMania, and I would like it to be at a big stage, because what other than winning at the grandest stage of them all?
And he keeps getting closer and closer every time.
Yes. Do you think Zack Ryder is the lucky charm, just like Renee calls it?
Yes. If not, he's gonna motivate him to do better.
Yes, and you can already see that. He has improved significantly. And yes, he was already talented before Zack Ryder came into this picture. But now that Zack Ryder is by his side, I could see him winning a match. And he was close in this one. And I was like, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. Ah, man.
And especially because Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins have worked together in the past.
Yes.
And they know each other so well. It's kind of like the Lucha House Party. They know each other so well, too, because they pretty much came into the main roster together as well.
Yes, and they treat each other like family, and you can never be too prepared for the Lucha House Party. They always have something up their sleeve, and they always come up with new creative moves, which I feel like is great, and it's something they have to their advantage, simply because you're not going to be prepared for it. You're going to go back and watch their matches, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to be prepared for this move, I'm going to be prepared for this move, but then they'll bring something new, and you're like, I was not expecting that because I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, and I feel that, like you said, Kurt Hawkins wasn't prepared for this type of match yet. He's been doing a lot of singles competition, so Zack Ryder's really going to help him.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that one. To the very next match of the night, which was The Revival versus DIY, which is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Even though
Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had a huge rivalry in NXT, it seems like they're on the same page now, and that rivalry got them closer together to go into the main roster.
And they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat, especially if they can get a hold of the tag team championships. They are going to be absolutely dominant.
Heavy Machinery and DIY are going to be a game changer in whatever brand they are as far as tag team goes.
I would keep them in Raw simply because I feel like the Raw tag team division can very, very benefit from them. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go. As for Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano,
they work really well together. I was very, very impressed. I know that they were tag team champions down in NXT, but from what I saw in this match, they just super impressive the way they work together. They have a good flow of the match, and it's just the way they get along in the ring.
And you really have to give it to the Revival because they did a fantastic job isolating Johnny Gargano. And they kept Tommaso Ciampa as far away from Gargano as they could. And that benefited them because they dominated the majority of the match. The moment Ciampa came in, it was kind of a game changer. It was just like, okay, this is where it's going to start to get crucial. And they gave an A-plus caliber match.
One thing that I like about Ciampa is his brutality. He comes in, no strings attached, and he just wants to get stuff done.
He definitely does, and there's a reason why he is the NXT champion, and I feel like that reign is soon going to be over simply because, he's already getting called up, so you can expect them to lose the championship soon. But, like I said, when Gargano and Ciampa do become tag team champions, it's going to be very difficult to get them to lose those championships.
That's going to be the team to beat for sure.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And the Revival, I'm glad they're finally at the point where they wanted to be. They're having the matches that they want to have. And they're finally going to have a feud with the legit tag team. And I can potentially see Gargano and Ciampa going for the tag team championships.
Yeah, and they were able to pull off the win against the Revival, which it makes them, quote-unquote,
number one contenders.
Yeah, number one contenders to face them. And from what I saw in this match, it's just going to be a great match.
Yes.
And great rivalry. Like, they all have history with each other. All two teams.
Yes. And also keep in mind that we don't know which brand they're going to be going to. And they were at Smackdown. We got to see that at the Smackdown taping. But incredible debut match. I'm looking forward to see what else they are going to do. They are definitely going to bring something new to the division, whether it be Raw or Smackdown.
And I have to agree with you. I hope they do stay in Raw with Heavy Machinery. I think if those two teams stay there with the Revival, it's going to be a pretty solid tag team division. I don't think the SmackDown one needs any additions. It'll be great if probably the Usos move and they probably trade the Revival or whoever it is that they trade. But SmackDown really doesn't need no big change in.
They really don't.
Tag team division.
They're killing it with their tag team division right now, and Raw, like I said, is going to benefit the most from having Gargano and Ciampa on their roster. Alright, let's move on to the Raw Women's Tag Team Champions.
First ever Women's Tag Team Champions.
Correction. Bayley and Sasha. Well, they come out and they pretty much start talking about how they were really emotional at the Elimination Chamber because they were the first ever Women's Tag Team Champions, and they pretty much said that it still feels like a dream and that we all did this, that it wasn't just them, and that they are going to be representing everybody, and they will be defending the Tag Team Championships on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT.
Pretty interesting. I was just expecting that it was going to be Raw and SmackDown, which, I mean, it made sense, but now they're adding NXT into it. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how all that plays around.
And the conversation Armando and I were having earlier, what happens? Do you come to the Tag Team Champions, or do the Tag Team Champions come to you? Because, you know, it's a very controversial issue when you really put it with NXT going to Raw for, a couple of matches for a feud. Is that how it's going to work out? Or do they go down to NXT? We did get to see that this week in NXT. They went down to NXT. But it's going to be interesting to see how that's all going to play out, because there's only one pair of Tag Team Championships, and that's it. So they got to split it and share it between all three brands.
Yeah. So we'll see, like you said, we'll see what happens and who are going to be the first challengers for the women's tag team titles.
Who do you see challenging them?
Probably the Iconics.
I could see the Iconics. If not the Iconics, I could see Liv and Sarah going for them again. Those are the two top picks for us right now. Let us know in the comments below who you guys think will challenge them. It's going to be very interesting to see. Anybody can go for them. Alright, let's move on to Nia Jax and Tamina. They decide to interrupt. How rude. They are jealous. We know that. They say they were going to become the champions if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, and that Sasha and Bayley pretty much got lucky just because Nia Jax went through one of the pods.
And this is where the brainwashing starts, because Nia does tell Bayley, Sasha only cares about Sasha. Remember last year's Elimination Chamber. And this is where the mind games are going to start to play. And this is a very, very dangerous situation for both Sasha and Bayley, because if they could get into either of these women's head, it's all over for the Boss and Hug connection.
Yeah, we know they had their issues in the past, and it's a pretty smart strategy. I feel that if they want to get to Sasha and Bayley, playing those head games with them, it's going to be crucial, because at any point they could turn, and especially with Sasha's ego, and same thing with Bayley's.
Yes, and Nia Jax and Tamina did make it very, very clear that they want a shot at the tag team titles.
That's another good tag team too that could challenge them. Like I said, the women's division is looking pretty solid, and the tag team division as well.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that one, and there's so much talent that can square up to Sasha and Bayley. It's just going to be very interesting to see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks leading into WrestleMania.
I think it's going to play out pretty good, and it's going to be one of those tag team divisions where you must see, where you have to tune in and be like, okay, who's going to go and challenge them next?
It's going to be kind of like the Smackdown men's tag team division. That's how it's going to be, because when the Smackdown tag team division comes out, you're like, I want to see that match, and that's what it's going to be with the women. Alright, moving on to Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre. This was very interesting because there was no sirens for Dean Ambrose's entrance.
Yeah, because as you guys know, when he turned heel, he's kind of modified his song, and there were sirens at the beginning of his song.
Also, one more thing that I noticed is that Drew McIntyre is the heel in this match. So it could have potentially been a one-time thing, simply because, you know, heel and heel, it just kind of doesn't go. So they could have just been like, let's just bring face Ambrose back for a one night only.
And another thing too that like is starting to get to me and starting to catch my attention is Drew McIntyre goes into Triple H's office and pretty much is demanding him that he should have a title shot, that he should get Seth Rollins, and prove like he should be in a title picture. And then out of nowhere, Dean Ambrose comes and he's like, why don't you just face me, and slaps him.
Yeah.
And the way I see this is, if Dean Ambrose is face now, he's pretty much gonna try to stop anybody that gets in Seth Rollins' way, and he's gonna try to face him.
I could see that happening, especially because we have seen Dean take part in Seth's life or career very, very recently. Last week, I believe, was when he was like Slay the Beast.
Yeah.
And he keeps coming out. So I could see that happening.
And we're getting a little bit ahead into ourselves. After the match, he's walking out in the locker room and they're interviewing Seth Rollins, and then he just like looks at him and he's like, "Where the hell were you?"
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins was like,
"Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah. So he's kind of throwing some mixed signs in there as far as like, okay, I'm with you, but at the same time, I'm not.
I see a reunion happening soon, especially if Dean is leaving. Well, they already confirmed that he's leaving, but I do see a reunion happening soon, and it is very interesting because he is like, "Where were you?" You know, and Seth is like confused as like, "What do you mean? Have you lost your mind?" And I see the reunion happening.
Yeah, and that's why I said that I see Dean Ambrose kind of like
he's in between.
Yeah, he's kind of helping Seth Rollins into anybody that gets in his way, like McIntyre.
And that pretty much is letting us know Seth Rollins is walking out the Universal Champion, because if he's going to have Dean Ambrose in his corner, very, very low-key, I don't see the Beast retaining.
Yeah, and again, McIntyre has just had one incredible year. He just keeps getting better and better every single time, and I just keep getting impressed of how he has dominated the Claymore kick. He just executes it so well and so perfectly, and even at like a short distance.
He has perfected that move, has learned it, has studied it. Everything about that move is perfect because he can execute it at any given time, kind of like the RKO. And it works, and it's efficient, and it is the most amazing finisher other than the RKO that I have ever seen.
Yeah, that's one of the things I would add to my moveset if I was wrestling the Claymore kick.
And Drew McIntyre is also, not only is he the full package, but he's an amazing powerhouse. Nobody has been able to dominate him the way Braun Strowman has been able to. And that's the only man we have seen just completely destroy Drew McIntyre. But I want to see Drew in the title picture. I think now is his time. And yeah, even if you give him like the Intercontinental Championship or you give him the U.S. Championship, I think those titles, nothing against these titles, but I feel like he deserves a better championship. I feel like he deserves that top championship, and I feel like he's ready.
And what makes him even more dangerous is not, like you said, that he's a all-around wrestler complete, but is that he knows who to hang out with. We saw it when he was with Dolph Ziggler, where he went up to being a tag team champion, a Raw tag team champions, and he partnered up with Baron Corbin at that time, and now with Bobby Lashley. So he's smart. He knows who, he pretty much picks and chooses his battles and knows who to hang out with to his advantage, and that's very, very crucial.
And also, keep in mind, I feel like he has no friends. I feel like he's like, okay, I'm going to use you to my advantage. You could help me with this. You can help me with that. But at the end of the day, it's all about me. And he is looking for his future. He is not going to back down to anybody, and he is not going to stop for anybody. Yes, right now, he is using Corbin, and he is using Bobby Lashley, just like he used Dolph Ziggler to get to the spot where he wants to be.
He's one that I would really like to see move over to SmackDown, and I feel that it would just elevate his career even more.
Yeah. Imagine what he would do against AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, I would really like to see him against Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Two similar stars, both aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a one hell of a match.
One hell of a match. But, again, the Dean and Drew McIntyre match was fantastic. I liked it.
Or against Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
A powerhouse like Samoa Joe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in SmackDown, he has a lot of potential if some of those athletes end up staying in SmackDown.
But also keep in mind, Raw's going to need top stars. So Seth, we know for a fact, is going to stay on Raw. Roman, when he comes back, more than likely is going to stay on Raw. And then Dean is leaving, so who's going to take over? You know, probably the NXT guys. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now let's get into Elias Armando, your favorite part of the show, every single week.
Yeah, Elias, I don't know why he just keeps getting interrupted every single week after week, and it's always someone different.
He is tired of the treatment that he is getting. He knows, and he has the confidence that he deserves a lot better. And I guarantee you, Armando 100% agrees with that one.
Yeah, but this time, who does he get interrupted by?
None other than Aleister Black making his debut on the main roster.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. This was one of the better matches of Raw.
And it actually got the time. It wasn't short, but it wasn't extremely long either. It got the right amount of time, and I feel like it was perfect because you got to see how talented Elias is, but you also got to see what the future holds. And you got to see Aleister Black really take Elias to his limit.
Very, very impressed by Aleister Black as well.
We've seen him down in NXT. We know what he can do. Now, how do you incorporate that into the main roster? Personally, I would send him over to SmackDown. I feel like that's where he belongs. I would put him up against Randy Orton. Simply because the same similar style. Again, they would have a killer match. But Elias, you also have to give it to him. He has improved majorly, and I feel like he has already proven to this point he is a top star.
And I really liked Elias' strategy in this match. He tried to bring Aleister down by keeping him on the map, by not letting him build momentum throughout the match. And obviously, Aleister Black, with his athleticism was able to capitalize.
Also, keep in mind, Elias was not prepared for this match. He wasn't prepared for somebody like Aleister Black, and the fact that he kept him down for the majority of this match just goes to show how talented and ready Elias is. Give him a championship. Don't take it away from Finn Balor yet, but give him a championship. I do want to see him as a future champion.
Yeah, even if it's a tag team champion, I would love to see him hold some type of gold.
I feel like he would be kind of like Miz, where he holds a championship and he would make it worth watching.
Whatever he touches will turn into gold, pretty much.
Exactly.
I mean, look at his album.
Exactly. Exactly. Alright, enough of Elias and Aleister Black. Let's get into the Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott. And keep in mind, Ruby Riott had the Riott Squad at ringside. And this was for the championship.
We got to see a little bit more of the match because in the Elimination Chamber, we had a short match. And I was expecting a little bit more, so now we actually got to see a full-on match.
Yes, we definitely did. Extremely excited for this match, and you gotta give it to Ruby Riott. She really did give Ronda a fight. She dominated 90% of this match, and I feel like this was the match that Ruby Riott deserved. This was the biggest match of her career, and she definitely proved that she can hang with the best of the best in this business.
And Ronda was trying to finish the match quick because she knew the longer the match went, the more in trouble she was going to be, especially if she had the Riott Squad at ringside.
And you also have to give it to Ruby Riott because for every single move that Ronda tried to do on Ruby, Ruby had something to counter. And that goes to show she did her homework. She studied Ronda Rousey, and she was able to take her to the limit, which is something we've seen with Ronda, but I feel like this was different because this was a lot more challenging for Ronda. And I feel like it's all here. It's all in Ronda's head, and that's something that Ruby Riott has been able to do, get inside Ronda's head.
Yeah, and she hasn't been the only one. Sasha was the one that also got into
Yes.
Ronda Rousey's head. So they're starting to figure out Ronda, what her weaknesses are.
And also keep in mind, Ronda cannot potentially be 100% focused. She has to worry about Charlotte Flair, she has to worry about Becky Lynch, and she has to worry about the Riott Squad. Keep in mind, her championship was on the line, but I do have to give it to both these women. They put on a killer match.
But also, you got to keep in mind, that's what happens when you're the champion.
Yeah.
When you're the champion, like they say, you have a target on your back at all times.
Exactly.
And that's what happens when you're champion, pretty much.
And who faces Ronda at Fastlane now? So, I mean, she's pretty much gone through the entire Raw division.
Yeah, that's a good question. If anything, it's gonna have to be probably one of the newcomers that came up, like Nikki Cross, if not Lacey Evans. Other than that, I don't see anybody else
Facing her.
Yeah.
Unless she doesn't have a match, but given the fact that she's Ronda Rousey, I'm more than certain she's gonna want to have a match against anybody. She will be happy with the match. I don't know. I don't see anybody else.
Yeah, because like you said, she pretty much went through the entire Raw roster within pretty much a year's time.
I could potentially see, I guess, Sarah Logan.
And if not, it's probably going to be Ruby Riott again.
Yeah.
Because I feel that, believe me, Ruby Riott wasn't happy with the outcome, and she's going to want to
Squeeze herself.
Bring more into the table.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure she wasn't happy that she lost, and she's going to either sneak her way into the match again.
She knows she could do a lot more with Ronda, and I feel like she wants to prove that. And honestly, at this point, nothing against the Riott Squad. Everybody knows I love Liv Morgan. But I feel like she doesn't need Sarah and Liv by her side anymore. I feel like she's going to do great on her own, and she proved that. And every single match she's had, even if the Riott Squad is there, she has proven it with her athleticism and the skill that she has for the wrestling sport.
Yeah, so let us know who do you guys want Ronda to face at Fastlane. Like I said, she pretty much already faced everybody on Raw, unless we're missing someone, but I'm pretty sure we're not.
Yeah. I could potentially see Dana Brooke. I mean,
Dana Brooke.
Anybody at this point.
Maybe Tamina.
Maybe the returning Ember Moon.
Maybe.
If she comes back.
Maybe. We know she's injured and we don't know how long she's been out for, but if she does return, I think that's probably the only one she hasn't faced, or she probably faced her already, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. Leave a comment down below. Let us know who you want to see Ronda Rousey, or who do you think Ronda Rousey is going to face at Fastlane.
But for sure, whoever she faces, it's pretty much guaranteed that she's not going to lose, because you want Ronda in the main event to face Charlotte.
Exactly. So it's pretty much a given. It doesn't matter who she faces or if she even has a match. She is going to come out victorious on the very last stop on the road to WrestleMania. I cannot wait. 2 more weeks, and we will officially be literally on the road to WrestleMania. Smackdown Live.
Pretty excited.
Definitely excited. Alright, Shane McMahon opens up the show. He pretty much says how impressive he was, not only with the match at the Elimination Chamber, but with Kofi Kingston, who pretty much stole the show at the Elimination Chamber.
Well, he stole the show at the Gauntlet match, and he stole the Elimination Chamber, no doubt.
He's been stealing the show for the last 3 weeks, let's just put it that way. Alright, and then The Miz comes out and he says how he has not been able to sleep for the last 48 hours.
Before you get into that, Shane McMahon said that he was also impressed with all the NXT talent that was brought up by Triple H to Raw. And he said that he was so impressed that he was going to bring them on SmackDown Live as well.
And also, okay, sorry for interrupting you. But also keep in mind, we don't know which brand they're going to be going into, so it's going to be interesting to see where each of these new call-ups decide to go.
One thing too, where's Lars Sullivan? I mean, we've seen everybody else getting called up, and Lars Sullivan hasn't showed up.
If he doesn't show up at Fastlane, he's not going to show up until either WrestleMania or the Shake-Up. Because if you really think about it, he could show up at Fastlane and potentially start a feud with somebody heading into WrestleMania, or he could show up at WrestleMania, start a feud with somebody there, and then that's how we'll know which brand he's going to, or the Superstar Shake-Up. And I feel like at this point, it's pretty much a given that they're going to be waiting for the Superstar Shake-Up.
Keep in mind, I just throw it out there, nothing to do with this, but just because the NXT Superstars pretty much all already debuted, like the rest of them, like Heavy Machinery, Lacey Evans, she has come out, Nikki Cross, EC3, so...
Do you think maybe they forgot about Lars Sullivan?
Maybe, who knows, but I don't think so.
Because at first they would show the video clip of like Lars is coming soon, and now they don't even play it. So I'm even wondering if they forgot that he's even supposed to debut. But, well, I guess we'll see. Alright, now getting into The Miz, who pretty much says he has not been able to sleep for the past 48 hours because he feels really, really, really guilty at the fact that he lost the Tag Team Championships.
I don't blame him. I mean, I probably would feel the same way, especially after winning it a couple weeks and then losing it right away.
And not only that, the meaning that he had behind it, you know, he was set out to make his father proud. He knew Shane was his dad's favorite wrestler and that he looked up to Shane. So the fact that he lost it in his first title defense obviously is not going to make him feel good. And he decides he wants to challenge, again, the Usos for the championship because he has Shane by his side.
And he says a couple interesting things. One, he said that he used Shane McMahon, but he used them to make his dad proud. And two, he pretty much told Shane McMahon that they don't have to earn the title shot because, hello, Shane McMahon is his partner and he can just make the match.
Exactly. And so it takes a little convincing for Shane because he's like, I don't want to make the match. You know, he's kind of hesitant, and I understand why, because he doesn't want to do that abuse of power where he doesn't just want to be like, why does everybody else have to earn their opportunity and we don't?
But keep in mind, Miz is pretty smart and he always has stuff up his sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
A couple podcasts ago we had mentioned that the Miz was most likely going to use Shane McMahon to get what he wants. And That's pretty much what we're seeing.
And we all know what he wants. He wants the throne. He wants a WWE Championship, and this is his way of getting it. If he can get Shane to do anything he wants, he's in. He doesn't even have to earn the opportunity, even though at this point I feel like he's definitely earned a title shot.
Yeah, and I see him feuding against Shane McMahon at WrestleMania.
Yeah, of course. And then after that, I see him staying in SmackDown and then going for the WWE Championship. It only makes sense. And then the Usos, who are now the new tag team champions, decide to interrupt.
Yeah, and they pretty much insult the Miz. They're trying to get in Miz's head, but that ended up backfiring on him because Shane McMahon got mad and he ended up defending the Miz, and he's like, you know what? You guys don't talk to my partner like that. If you guys want to settle things, we'll settle it in Fastlane for those tag titles again.
Also, keep in mind, Cleveland, Ohio is the Miz's hometown. So you can expect George Mizanin to be there, to be at ringside. You can also expect Maurice and possibly even Monroe to be there. So you know this is going to mean a lot to the Miz. And I hope they're able to capture the tag team championships again.
And you know what happened last time that Maurice was pretty much ringside? It was a match against Daniel Bryan. She gave him those brass knuckles to use.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Before we get into the very first match, I do want to mention something. Now that you said that Maurice helped them out the very last time she was ringside, this is where it's going to start to set up the feud for WrestleMania, because The Miz is going to start to cheat again to win. And that's something that Shane McMahon is not going to like. Keep in mind, The Miz will do anything to not only win, but to also be champion and to prove that he is the best. So I can see him starting to cheat, and that's something that Shane is not going to like.
Yeah, Shane is not going to like it because that's not Shane's way of winning things.
Exactly. So I feel like that's what's going to set up the feud going into WrestleMania.
No, I definitely agree with you on that 100%.
Let us know what you think is going to be the feud between Shane and The Miz. Alright, moving on to what was probably one of my favorite matches of the entire night. Andrade with, obviously, Selena versus Aleister Black, who is making his SmackDown debut on the main roster.
When I saw that Andrade was facing Aleister Black, I was like, oh my god, these two guys are going to tear the roof off the Smoothie King Center. And they sure pretty much did.
Yeah, they did it down in NXT, and they definitely did it in SmackDown Live, and I feel like this is the type of matches that Raw needs. And yes, we've been getting them now, especially with the call-ups, but this is an A+ match. This is a top caliber match, and I feel like they were pretty much evenly matched. You can see it at the beginning of the match where they're just like pretty even, and I love it because they're both, it's not that they have the same wrestling style, but it's the fact that, one, they know each other well, and two, they're super athletic, and they both kind of revolve around the same thing. It's not the same wrestling style. I don't know if that makes sense, because I don't know how to put it into words, because it's just that amazing. But they're both equally athletic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and then not on top of that, but the quickness that they show on the ring, the way they execute everything, it was just phenomenal. Great match.
And creativity. That is something they have in common, and I feel like that's what makes this match 100% better.
And I feel that the difference of this a little bit was Andrade's power.
Yes.
His strength. That was pretty much what was setting the tempo of the match at times.
Yeah, because he was able to match to Aleister Black's power, and that's something not a lot of superstars can do, and we know that Andrade is in a powerhouse, and in this occasion he was like, okay, I gotta change my game plan. I have to be able to be a powerhouse, and I feel like that comes from Selena, because we know she's the brains. We know she keeps Andrade focused and ready to go for his opponents.
And also, Selena tried at times to distract Aleister Black during the match.
Yeah. And obviously we know that's Selena's job. Her job is to ensure that Andrade has the best matches and that he's winning his matches. And in this occasion, this is his first loss of 2019, but I don't think it affects him because, one, it was Aleister Black who just made his debut. He obviously was not going to lose on his debut match. And two, he's already beaten almost everybody he's faced this year. No, every single person he's faced this year up until now. Rey Mysterio, I think that may be it, because that's what he's been feuding with. But he's already proven himself.
And then on top of that, Andrade was always a step of Aleister Black. And that's very crucial because, like you said, they know each other so well.
Yes. And I see Andrade becoming champion this year. It's definitely the year of Tranquilo, and whether it's the U.S. Championship, whether it's the Intercontinental Championship, whether it's the Universal or the WWE Championship, he will hold a championship this year.
Yeah, and you could tell he's motivated and he's hungry to be even better, and he's proving it this year. And just look at the way he has started. Yeah, he lost to Aleister Black, but I mean, that's his first loss, like you said.
Yeah, and it doesn't affect him because he's already proven to himself and to the WWE Universe he can hang with the top guys and that he is a top guy.
And he's one that just, after every match that he has, he just keeps getting better and better and better every single time. And I think he hasn't reached his full potential yet.
No.
And he's not going to reach his potential till quite some time.
Yes, and he is definitely, like he said, not at his peak. He is not. And I cannot wait to see Andrade at his peak. That is going to be the best Andrade you could potentially ever get. And hopefully he stays with Selena for a very, very long time because I feel like she's really helped him out in his career in the WWE.
Like Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley, they know that they make each other a good partners. Same thing with Selena
and Andrade. They balance each other out.
Exactly.
He knows he needs her, and she knows she needs him. It works out. She is the brains. He helps her with the wrestling. It works out. And Aleister Black, let's not forget about him. Extremely talented, an incredible powerhouse. I am excited to see what's going to happen with him. I would keep him in this brand, Smackdown. I think that's the right brand for him.
Yeah, definitely.
The matches he's going to have with everybody, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait to see what he decides to do. Imagine how cool it would be for Aleister Black to face Daniel Bryan.
That would be awesome.
Especially with Daniel Bryan's character now. It makes perfect sense, but that's not the match at WrestleMania, though. I'm not teasing it. I'm just saying, imagine how cool that would be. Alright, moving on to the very next match of the night, which was Sheamus and Cesaro versus Gargano and Ciampa.
DIY. Let's just keep it at DIY for now, just because they pretty much debuted on the main roster together.
Yes. But we'll keep saying Gargano and Ciampa for those of you that don't know who DIY is, because we don't want you guys to feel confused or any of that. So, this match, absolutely incredible. This is why the SmackDown Tag Team Division is a lot better than the Raw. Nothing against Raw, though. You know, they've always been the A show, I guess you can consider it.
And then the ones that start off the match are Tommaso Ciampa and Sheamus. Two bulls that are just going to collide with each other. Super, super aggressive.
And keep in mind, when Ciampa was up at the top, what did he do? A powerbomb off the top rope. He landed so wrong, and he got lucky. Sheamus's body weight did not land on him. You can see his knee just like he kind of snapped it.
Yeah, it buckled to the side, kind of like when Seth Rollins injured his knee for the first time, his first injury. If you guys look at the video, they're pretty much similar, but he does try to like powerbomb, and then he kind of like steps wrong and throws his knee off, and then Sheamus just lands on him, and it looked pretty bad. I thought at first he had like actually like
a severe injury.
Yeah, but it seemed to be fine. He was able to continue for the rest of the match, but if you actually see it,
it looks nasty.
It looks pretty bad. We'll see if we can put the video up.
Yeah.
If not, then
we'll put a picture or something.
We'll put a picture. If not, tune in into SmackDown.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to look it up online.
Okay, but when that did happen, though, you could see Sheamus. You can tell he hit him right on the spine, like right in the center, on the spine side of his back. It was nasty to watch. I don't even want to rewatch it.
And then during the match, you could also tell the size difference between Sheamus and Ciampa, and also with Cesaro and Gargano. It's just powerhouses, both Cesaro and Sheamus.
And you really have to give it to Gargano in this match, simply because Ciampa got hurt, and he was out of the ring for a while. He was just trying to gain composure and everything. Gargano carried himself and the match very, very well, and you have to give him credit for that, because him being solo against former tag team champions, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and then not only that, but I feel that lately the bar has been overconfident, that they're underestimating all their opponents. I mean, we saw it against the Miz and Shane, and now we saw it against Gargano and Ciampa. So I feel like their egos are starting to get to the best of it. Like, oh yeah, we are the bar. We set the bar. We've been champions. Nobody's been able to beat us. And I feel that that's haunting them.
The thing is, they know they're good. They know that. And that's great because, you know, they have confidence in their team and who they are as a team. But that ends up under benefiting them because at the end of the day, they're getting a little over their head. And too much cockiness is obviously not going to work for them.
Yeah, and it's been costing them these past couple of weeks.
Yep, and that I feel like that is one of the reasons why they're not tag team champions anymore.
They're losing focus. Hopefully they get back on track because I think they're one of the top tag teams in the WWE right now.
Yes, and once focused, they're unstoppable. We have seen that. They have been champions countless of times, and they work extremely well together. They know each other like the palm of their hands, so hopefully they can get back on the same page, back on track, and they're ready to go. Because Gargano and Ciampa, they're coming, and we don't know which brand they're going to be going for, so they could potentially be number one contenders for either championship. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and that, moving on to Asuka, she gets interviewed in ring and pretty much telling her what's next for Asuka. Who is she going to face? Because she pretty much said that she beat Becky at TLC and that she made her tap out.
Yes, and she is very confident of who she is and where she's going, you know, and she knows she doesn't have an opponent, and she says the question isn't, is Asuka ready for her next opponent? The question is are you ready for Asuka, or who's ready for Asuka?
And who decides to step up? It was Mandy Rose.
Yes, Mandy Rose decides to step up, and she challenges her, and obviously it was a non-title match, but you gotta really give it to Mandy. I feel like she is probably the breakout star of 2019 because she has been putting on incredible matches from the Chamber to the Rumble up until now. This match with Asuka, she proved she can hang with the top women of this division.
She really impressed me at the Chamber. I thought they had the titles won where she executed her finisher on Sasha. I was like, it's over, and somehow Sasha kicked out. But like I said, Mandy, really, really impressive in the Chamber.
Yes, and in this match as well. And you also have to give it to Asuka. Like, you know Asuka is talented. You already know that. But when you put her up against somebody who's extremely talented, somebody like Charlotte, somebody like Mandy, you know she's going to deliver 100%. And this match was definitely a fantastic match.
And during the match, who decides to interrupt? Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans.
She did what she did on Raw. She's been doing for the past couple of weeks, which is coming down the ramp, going all the way down to the ring, turns back and goes back up.
And I feel like that was the first thing that took Asuka out of her game. She was just like distracted. She didn't know what was going on. Not only that, but Mandy is smart. She has the brains. And what does she do? Oh my eye. And then Asuka was just kind of like, huh? What is happening? And Mandy was able to take advantage of that distraction and that opportunity to pin Asuka.
Yeah, definitely the first distraction with Lacey Evans threw Asuka off her game. And obviously the second, Mandy getting more creative and finding ways to win.
Yes.
How to survive. And she proved it, and she was able to get the win. So I wouldn't be surprised if she faces Asuka at Fastlane.
Would you ever imagine Mandy Rose would have been on the list of people who pinned Asuka? Because so far the only people who have pinned her, Charlotte, Carmella, and now you can add Mandy Rose to that equation. She definitely stole this win and this pin from Asuka.
To be honest, I wasn't expecting it. Not to underestimate Mandy Rose, but it was just Asuka is Asuka, and the way she was dominating the match, I was like, okay, she's most likely going to get the win. But like I said, Mandy Rose was able to survive and figured out a way how to win, and that's very crucial because sometimes that's what you need.
Yes, that is exactly what you need, and not only that, she has the brain to definitely keep going.
And not only that, but she has Sonya Deville.
Yes.
And I feel that Sonya Deville is also going to play a huge part. You know, not only the motivation, but have her back at times during the match. Or like maybe cause a distraction.
I definitely agree with you on that one. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, what goes on moving forward. But yes, I do see Mandy Rose facing Asuka at Fastlane. Now, however, we do know Asuka is more than likely going to retain.
And also, Mandy Rose taking advantage of the opportunity because it's not every day that you get to face a champion, the women's champion, and she capitalized and she's able to win. I mean, super impressive.
Not only do you not get the opportunity every day, but you don't always get the opportunity to face somebody of an elite caliber like Asuka.
And let me tell you, Corey Graves was super happy about that.
You already know Corey Graves and his obsession with Mandy Rose, but it will be interesting to see where the rest of this plays out. Personally, we still don't know who has an opponent, who's going to be Asuka's opponent for WrestleMania. I already gave you guys my opinion. I see Alexa, but so far they haven't teased it. So far they haven't done anything, so I don't know who's going to be her opponent. So far we know Mandy is more than likely going to be her opponent at Fastlane, but who faces Asuka at Mania is the question as of right now. Because we are, 6 weeks away?
Yeah.
From WrestleMania, and she still doesn't have an opponent.
Yeah, I would like to see Alexa, like you said, and I agree with you on that one. I had said Paige, and I had already told you guys the reasons why. Yeah, it seems kind of impossible just because she has a neck injury. But if you go back to previous podcasts, I'll let you guys know why I picked Paige. But now it's looking like it might be Mandy.
So going back to the previous podcasts, go back to the Royal Rumble one, the Raw after that, and the Smackdown after that, to be specific, so that you can see what our discussion about Asuka's potential opponents at WrestleMania will be.
So we can agree that Mandy Rose is most likely going to face Asuka at Fastlane.
100% agreed. Yes, and we do know Asuka is more than likely going to come out champion. I don't think she's going to get 2 pinfalls over Asuka.
And Mandy Rose, I mean, what a week she's had, being the last tag team in the Elimination Chamber, even though they started. And not only that, but she was able to beat Asuka all within pretty much the same week.
Yep. And if she goes on to Fastlane and she could beat Asuka for some reason, she would have had one hell of a month. From Elimination Chamber to pinning Asuka to now becoming the champion.
I mean, she already made history by participating in the first ever women's tag team championship match at the Chamber. And making history again because she pinned Asuka, being the 3rd woman to pin her.
Yep.
And if she makes history, we'll see if she could do it at Fastlane.
Yes. So, now moving on to Ricochet versus Eric Young from Sanity. Pretty impressive match, you know. I feel like Smackdown and Raw were very, very heavily placed with the NXT call-ups, which were Aleister Black, Ricochet, Ciampa, and Gargano, which is great because then it puts we really are in the future. The future really is now, and it's time for them to start to take over.
And even though it was a singles competition, Eric Young was out there with entire Sanity on his corner, and I felt that was going to be a distraction for Ricochet, and it turned out it wasn't.
It wasn't. He was prepared. He definitely knew what he was getting himself into. And now remember, Ricochet has no friends in the SmackDown brand. Yes, he has Finn Balor on the Raw brand, but he has nobody in the SmackDown brand. So, at this point, he was pretty much riding solo. He was on his own from the get-go.
And from what I've seen down in NXT so far, in Raw from Ricochet and on SmackDown, he's just been super impressive. And his movesets, that finisher he has off the top rope, I believe is the 630 splash, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
It's just super impressive. The way he executes it and the height he gets, it's just amazing. And then he's got a lot of hang time too, so if you notice when he jumps, he kind of just like floats in the air, and that helps him to do all the moves he's doing, like all those turns.
And Eric Young, we haven't really seen much of him. I'll be completely honest. We didn't really follow them down in NXT. We knew who Sanity was, but we didn't know, like, everything about them. We didn't know how they wrestled, you know, and all this stuff. And now I feel like this is important because we haven't seen Sanity on TV this entire year, I believe. Yeah, this whole year they have not been on TV. This is the first time we get to see Sanity. And now the fact that they're giving somebody like Eric Young the opportunity is great because we really got to see him showcase his talent, his athleticism, and how creative he could be and how good he is in the ring.
In singles competition as well. And he was pretty smart because he knew that he could beat Ricochet by taking his aerial game away, and he was just being super aggressive, and that's what he tried to do, try to keep him on the mat.
Yes, and obviously they all come from NXT. They all do their homework with each other. They all know each other, pretty much, and they've all wrestled each other at some point. So he definitely was prepared. He knew what he was getting himself into, but I also feel like you said at the beginning, sanity really played a huge role in this match because, they could potentially cause a distraction.
Ricochet is the one that we have to keep the eye on just because of everything that he could do in the ring. Super excited to see what he's going to do in the main roster.
Future champion right there. Mark our words. Future champion for sure. He probably had one of the fastest NXT call-ups. I think he was signed to NXT for a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But to be down there for such short period of time and then come up to the main roster and put on the type of matches that you're putting on is absolutely incredible to me. So my respects to Ricochet.
Yeah, the impact that he has had, and like you said, I believe he was breakout star of the year in NXT, and just one amazing year. So excited to see what he's gonna do. What he did in NXT was amazing. I can't wait to see what he does in the main roster. And that's another thing too why we follow NXT, but we don't follow it as much. We once in a while we watch it here and there, but that's because when they get to the main roster, I want to see more of what they can do. Because if I could already see what they do in NXT.
You're right, but also keep in mind they restrict what you can do in the main roster, because in the matches we saw with Ricochet and the matches we saw him have on Raw and both SmackDown, it wasn't an NXT caliber match. It definitely was not. He definitely toned it down 100% more than what he would in NXT. And so I feel like watching NXT really exposes you to what they can really do, but once they come up on the main roster, you're kind of just like, really? This is what I'm going to get? So it's kind of a disappointment, so we try to stay away from watching NXT for that reason, just because you don't want them to come into the main roster and you have this huge expectation of the type of matches they can have, and then once they're on the main roster, you'd be like, okay, but that was nowhere near an NXT caliber match. You know what I mean? So that's kind of our reasoning as to why we don't really follow NXT as much. We know who the superstars are, we just don't know very much about them. Alright, moving on to AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy and Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Daniel Bryan.
Hell of a teams though, I'll tell you that.
Incredible talents. Every single person here in this match has won a championship other than Samoa Joe and Kofi Kingston. They've all been champions. They all know what it's like to be pretty much a top star. And I feel like, again, Kofi Kingston stole the show. Definitely, it was his night.
And keep in mind that we were going to find out who Daniel Bryan was going to face at Fastlane after the match. So I guess Shane McMahon was waiting, pretty much scouting and see who was going to impress him. And obviously, it was going to be Kofi Kingston, so he ended up picking Kofi Kingston to face the new Daniel Bryan at Fastlane.
I feel like he made the right call. I definitely do feel like he did, because not only is the crowd behind Kofi, but you can also see the superstars are also behind him. And he's been putting up amazing matches, and I feel like he is better off as a singles competitor where we're in the New Day, because I feel with the New Day they have to share the spotlight. It has to be about all three of them and not just about him, and I do feel like him being part of the New Day is kind of just holding him back.
I agree with you.
I mean, it's hard to say because they do super well together as a team, and they, don't get me wrong, they're great. They're fantastic. They have each other's back. They've had probably some of the best matches in tag team match history, but I also feel like now seeing Kofi individually by himself with the matches he's had over the last 2 weeks, I feel like he doesn't need Big E and Xavier Woods there with him.
And I also think it has to do with the fact that we haven't seen Kofi in singles competition in a while. Like you said, he's been with the New Day in a whole bunch of tag matches, and I think that's what it is. And we finally got to see what he's capable in singles competition, and he pretty much won over the crowd. I know he won me over, he won you over, and it's just, it was one of those moments where if he won the chamber, it would have been amazing.
Yes, and it would have been, everybody would have been happy. I want to compare it to Becky Lynch, but I don't at the same time because it's two different scenarios. But he is as over as Becky Lynch is right now. You could put it that way. He is like, if he were to win, the championship at Fastlane, which we end up finding out, like Armando said, that Kofi is going to challenge Daniel Bryan. If he could potentially, by some miracle, beat Daniel Bryan, I feel like that would probably be the best moment of this year so far, because it's going to be like Kofi Kingston been fighting for this for 11 years and he finally gets that opportunity. Incredible.
Not only that, but you see Xavier Woods and Big E, that they totally have his back on whatever he does, and just the amount of love that they show him, you can't compare that kind of support.
You definitely can't, but also keep in mind, once a championship is involved, once there's a big championship involved, jealousy starts to happen. And I don't want to jinx it, and I don't want to say they're going to split, but I feel like this would be the perfect time to just kind of, split them. I feel like Big E would do fantastic on his own, as well as Kofi, which we've seen, and Xavier Woods as well. And I feel like this could potentially be the beginning of that, simply because look at how successful Kofi is. If you put Xavier in a singles match, yes, he's going to do great, but I don't think any of the two other members would do as great or be as over as Kofi Kingston is right now.
Yeah, and Xavier Woods was always, quote-unquote, the weak link, but ever since they partnered him with the New Day, he improved so much, and he has learned from Big E and Kofi Kingston a lot, and you can see it in his wrestling style. Like, even when he's in a tag match, you're like, wow, this is what Xavier Woods can do.
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like now, if they are going to get split, I feel like now is the time, and this is the perfect storyline, because even if Kofi doesn't win at Fastlane, he got the opportunity. Something Big E and Xavier Woods have not gotten.
Not only that, but Kofi Kingston already got the feel of going for a title shot, and I think he enjoyed it and he loved it, and he's going to want more.
Exactly, and the only way to do that is to split from the New Day.
And I think it's time. They've been together for a while. They've already proved what they could do in as a tag team.
I think they've been together, if I'm not mistaken, 2014, 2015. So it's been quite some time. It's been a little over 3 years. So it's going to be interesting to see where they decide to go with Kofi. But let's get into the other superstars.
I do see them splitting up right when they have the superstar shakeup.
No, I think it's going to be an actual storyline. I see it going deeper than that.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't keep a team together for this long just to split them at the shakeup. You know what I mean? It has to have an actual storyline to it. Kind of like the Shield. If the Shield if Seth Rollins never turned on the Shield and they just split because of the brand split, it was like, really? That's it? And it just like, okay, they're eventually going to come back together. But when Seth turned, it was kind of like a shocker moment. It was probably the moment of the year for the year that he turned.
Yeah. But keep in mind that we've seen tag teams get split up in the superstar shakeup.
Yeah, but in this occasion, no.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be the wrong move to do that. I feel like this could be a fantastic and a really good money-making storyline. And I feel like it's the best. I think it's the best call to just actually write it into a storyline, whereas instead of just splitting them into a superstar shakeup. I feel like the shakeup would be a great way to bring them back together, though.
I see where you're going with it, and you see where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
We both have our different opinions on that.
And that's very rare because we hardly ever disagree. So when you see us disagree, enjoy it because you will hardly ever see it. Trust me. Okay, now moving on to the other competitors. Samoa Joe, go ahead.
Samoa Joe just hasn't had the luck of winning a title in the WWE. You know, and I like what he's been doing for these past couple of weeks. It was just, I don't know. I mean, I thought he was going to get a lot farther in the chamber.
The way you said it, though, he just has bad luck. He just hasn't had a luck. Yeah, I mean, you saw it in my in the Elimination Chamber review. I said how disappointed I was with him being the first one to get eliminated, only because he's built kind of like Braun Strowman, this larger-than-life character. He's a powerhouse. He can dominate and take out anybody. His submission move, the Coquina Clutch, one of the best, probably most dominant moves anybody could potentially have in the WWE. And for him to just keep getting screwed over and screwed over and screwed over, I think I think it's long overdue for him to just get a championship at this point.
And then during the match, everybody had participated in the match except for AJ Styles. AJ Styles was the only one that didn't participate, and sure enough, when he comes in, all hell breaks loose and he just cleans house.
Game changer, huh?
Yep.
But there's not much you can say about AJ, though. You know, you already know he's extremely talented, but not only that, I feel like he's a huge supporter of new and upcoming talent, and I feel like he likes to put over talent. And I feel like that's what he's doing, and I feel like ever since he lost the championship, that's exactly what he has been doing. Putting over other people and making sure everybody is where they're supposed to be and at the level that he wants them to be.
And then Kofi Kingston was able to pick up the win for AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy.
Yes. And Randy Orton, super dangerous. You have to give it to him, man. People are probably like, man, he uses the same moves. Yeah, but he gets really creative with them. Same thing with the RKO. And all of his moves, he's extremely brutal, and I want to see more of them. I feel like, I don't want to say his time is up now, but I don't want to see him in the title picture right now. Put over the new talent. Put over the new guys that are coming over. Teach them something. Put on a hell of a matches with them. That's what I want to see from Randy Orton.
Yeah, and then obviously Shane comes out and says, Daniel Bryan, you're going to be facing Kofi Kingston at Fastlane.
Yep. And no, we didn't forget about Jeff Hardy and we didn't forget about Daniel Bryan. It's just that this video, one, is getting too long, and two, there's nothing much to say about them. They're extremely talented. You already know Daniel Bryan is more than likely going to retain at Fastlane, and Jeff Hardy, for his age, extremely, extremely amazing. He hasn't lost a beat. He really hasn't.
He hasn't, and I mean, for his age to be doing what he's doing is just amazing, and his wrestling style takes a lot of him.
Yeah. And I can tell you this for a fact, though. Well, not that I know for a fact, but in my opinion, before he leaves, I could potentially see him getting back with Matt and having one last run and retiring as the tag team that they were.
That would be awesome.
I feel like that's the way it should be.
And that's all we have for you guys today.
Yep, that is all we have for you guys on this episode of Wrestling with Siblings. I'm Araceli.
I'm Armando.
For those of you that do not know what WWS stands for, Armando, tell them what WWS stands for.
Wrestling with Siblings. Thank you guys so much.
Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become a sibling today. And also remember that if you leave a comment or if you write us a review on iTunes, you could win our exclusive shirt that once it's gone, and it is not coming back. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next week on a brand new episode of Wrestling with Siblings.
Thank you guys.